Welcome back. Now, most of us associate Alzheimer's with the elderly, but this morning, as part of the Donate for Dementia campaign, in association with Virgin Media Television, we're hearing the story of a Tipperary man, Peter Pleskach, a former engineer, who was diagnosed with the condition at just 56 years of age. His wife, Frances, became his carer, and I'm delighted to say they both join us to talk about what that actually means and the reality of that. Good morning, Peter. Good morning, Frances. Thank you so much. Absolute pleasure to see you. Frances, let's talk about, first of all, how you guys got together, because it's a great story. Because Peter is originally from New York in the States. We're going to have a chat with Peter in a minute. So how did you guys meet?
Peter works for a company, Merck Sharp and Dome, and he was sent to Ireland to oversee for a new project that was going on. And I was out on my Christmas night, and it was Tom Alarm's Hotel was the big place to go at the time. And
he's nodding his head, yeah.
Anyway,
he knows.
December the 13th, and after the meal, we were allowed to come downstairs and bring friends up for the dancing.
Yeah.
And so I came down to the bar to meet friends, and I guess it was very busy, and Peter was sitting at the bar having a drink. He was staying in the Arms that night with his boss. And yeah, I guess we had a drink and we went to go upstairs, and everybody left to follow me. And I just turned my head back and said, "You're more than welcome to join us if you want," thinking he wouldn't.
Thinking he wouldn't, but then?
He came up with us, and we just all had a great night, and the rest is history. He walked me home, and, you know, we parted, and I said, "Look, you're 3,000 miles away, just call it a good night." But
he tracked you down.
He tracked me down.
He tracked you down.
He
Found you.
He tracked my number, and after he went back, he started calling me. And
I love the story that you tell about yourself and your friend, because your pal was going out with somebody from France.
So
the two of you had to take a trip into the payphone. She's ringing France.
I couldn't drive at the time, and so we would write each other all the time and make phone calls. Yeah. Peter was always calling, and I was ringing Peter as well. And just on Sundays, we just took a trip out to Cahir. She was from out Cahir side, Caroline, and just one day we went into a phone box. She was calling France, and I was calling Peter in the States. And shouldn't really say it now, but this phone box became the magic phone box.
Of course it did, yeah.
So it really was our relationship, how we got to know each other.
It's incredible.
So well.
You guys have been married now 27 years, is
28
that right?
years
28 years.
Yeah.
So if we jump forward then, Frances, Peter, I'm looking forward to having a chat with Peter. Peter is as fit as a butcher's dog. He's in great nick. But tell us about something that happened. Where did this journey with dementia start? It started with a fall, or at least you thought it did.
Peter, as an engineer, spent an awful lot of his time, particularly when the kids were young. He was always away working, and our eldest was coming up in leaving cert year, and I suppose Peter just got, you know, all the travelling all the time changes and everything was catching up with him, and he thought, you know, an opportunity came at work to take early retirement. And so Peter decided, you know, he was putting a plan in place. Look, you know, it was getting scary. Our first was leaving school and heading to college, and he thought, look, I want to spend more time with the kids before they all head off to college. And he had got his degree recognised here in Ireland, and he decided he was going to slow down the pace and just do some part-time work on his own. He said, look, I'm going to take some time off when I finish. He finished up work, took a few months off, and before he was going to follow suit with his plans for what he wanted to do. And just the end of 2013, just one night, Peter just collapsed down the stairs. And I was obviously concerned about him first, because he'd cut his leg at the end of the stairs off the radiator. And like, he blacked out for what seemed like, I'm sure it was just seconds, but it seemed a long time to me. And I got him up, and he no way would let me call an ambulance. And he kept saying he was okay.
There'd be no sign of anything, though, up to that. Though,
no,
you know,
he couldn't even tell me what happened.
No.
And I sat up all night long just holding his hand, and he slept. And he was black and blue. But even the next day he was coming around, he said, I don't know what happened, just something black. I just saw black. And he couldn't tell me. So he wouldn't. And I was kind of concerned, because he was never sick, and he never missed a day sick. He had never been at a doctor, really. And I sent him to the doctor a week later just to see, and he just put it down to, you know, Peter's retired and he was so used to being up so early, his lifestyle, and sometimes when you just suddenly stop work like that, you know, everything.
So how do we go from there then to where we are today?
They were, shortly after that, just things didn't seem right, and then we went back to the doctor again, and I went with him this time, and I was saying, no, he's just getting these moments of, like a light bulb, that's all I could describe it, just completely switching off and not knowing anybody. And it was like you were waiting for a light bulb to come on, and then it would come on again. And so the doctor referred him, he was taken into hospital in the January to the Hermitage, and they ran several tests. Now, first they thought we were sent to a consultant, they thought maybe it was a tumour. And fast forward, we got news, no, it wasn't a tumour, but we need to get Peter into hospital. It did. Then they did the spinal, they did a lot of tests, and they said, look, we think it may be a very rare form of cancer. And we're sending bloods to Belgium, so we had to wait 6 weeks for our bloods to come back. Now, unfortunately, Peter got in his head and he just really thought he had cancer, and it was the most difficult time of our lives. It was just trying to keep the kids and keep that from them.
But in terms of where we are now and where you guys are now, we talk about the struggle of daily life, of living with somebody with dementia. Tell us what daily life is like for you and what support you have around you, not just in terms of your family, but in terms of your community.
Right. Well, eventually, anyway, at a later stage, Peter was diagnosed with dementia, and that was tough. You know, when I came out, we had done numerous consultants. We were even sent to the States, and eventually we were finally sent to St. James's, and a consultant, a neurologist there, called in, Professor Lawler, and he diagnosed Peter after seeing him a few times, diagnosed him with dementia. Then they kept an observation on him, and shortly after he said, actually, he's got progressive dementia. Wow. They didn't know if it was associated with, they did see that there was damage on the brain. We'll never know if it was connected. And from that then, I just walked out that day when we got that diagnosis, and it was coming out past the oncology ward, and I thought, God, would it not be easier if my husband was diagnosed with cancer? It was an awful thing to say probably at the time, but I thought, any questions I was asking, I was getting no answers, and it's not like we could get inside his brain to see, how can you say how do we know this?
It's trying to figure it out.
So it was tough.
So many questions.
Now, Peter just took it, and he just came out of there, and at least I finally don't have cancer. So let's keep going. He was fine about it, but...
can we talk about Pleskach?
Yeah.
Tell us about that place.
So anyway, we went through, and eventually I did as much as I could to keep Peter well, and, tried lots of things with him. But eventually I saw he tried the men's shed, he tried Place for You that ran a men's club, but eventually I saw Peter was struggling more and more. And basically Peter's sleep pattern changed, and I just fell down one day just with exhaustion, really, and I was referred to a consultant with Peter, and when she saw, she just said, Frances, you just have to accept you cannot keep going like this.
Yeah.
I was sleep deprivation, it was really tough. He was getting up an awful lot during the night, and on that visit was just the turning point of our lives. I probably should have sought the help sooner, but I just wanted to do everything myself, and just accepting that I couldn't. So she contacted, and she said, look, there's a place in Clonmel, Pleskach. I'll put you in touch with Catherine Bartels, who's head there. Will you just go up and see her and chat with her? So we went for that first visit, and that was just the turning point. They took Peter in. I was taken into an office, and they talked through everything with me. They showed me all around the centre, and they just said, look, Frances, will you just give it a try and see how it is? So they brought me out just to see how Peter was getting on, and he was just transformed. So much that when we went to get him, he wouldn't come home with me.
Well, you can see when we're talking about Pleskach, Peter, the smile comes across your face. Why do you like your happy place? Why do you like Pleskach? What do you do there?
Well, the people that I was with were just very nice, and they were very nice group people.
And what did you love about her, Peter? Was it all the dance?
All
All the dancing?
Yep, we did the. Believe it or not, I would have never done anything, but we started, and one day, and they said, "Listen, I'm going to do this too." And we got on there, and it went almost to the whole day of doing it.
So you spend the day dancing. I'm looking at this beautiful book that you very kindly let us have a look at this morning.
Yeah.
That your gorgeous daughter Hayley put together, and I'm looking. Who's this handsome dude, Peter?
Is that you, Pete?
Football, yeah.
And tell me, what position did you play, Peter? Were you quarterback?
Yes, well, but it was changed because I could take in any of them, and
You played loads of
Any
different positions. He was an
Yes.
all-rounder.
Yeah.
This book is beautiful, and again, I thank you for sharing it because this is Peter's life. His friends, his family are in here, and I know you guys want to say a big thank you to your family and your friends as well while you're
Yeah,
here.
especially, I think the main thing is, not to be afraid and, to seek. And there's 64,000 families out there
Exactly.
going through what we're going through. And, I'm a very positive person. I believe in getting up and staying going. And I think what gets us through it all is the support and the help, be it from, especially, my kids are amazing.
Kids.
They're there, they call every day. They're a huge support. All three of them, they're so hands-on with their dad. They know when to step in, when to, that when I need little breaks. Lacorda has been, we just can't wait for it to get back open
Yeah.
again. That just is amazing. He's got a carer, comes to the house, Sandra and Emma, and she's brilliant with him. I think the poor girl leaves exhausted. It's
I can well
basketball,
imagine it.
It's,
It's
and
non-stop, I'd imagine.
He loves it all. He
Well, listen,
loves and...
We truly appreciate you coming in and sharing your story. Peter, it's been an absolute pleasure to meet you. You are a true New York gentleman, because I know you're an upstate New York man. That's where you're originally from. You've got a gorgeous family. They are a credit to you. And we wish you
thank you.
every
Thank you.
success and well-being. Yes, Peter.
to tell her the story of the guy that.
Oh, the Shane McGowan story. Peter wants to tell us the Shane McGowan story because he has
I
a picture in
laughed
his
at all
book.
the time.
He always had his camera when he was travelling.
It's unbelievable. Unfortunately,
yeah.
we're bang out of time. Listen, again, we thank you so much,
All
genuinely.
right, thank you. And thank
for
you
coming
to
in.
everybody, especially all the school friends and
it's
everyone with the
amazing.
support they give us.
Listen, thanks again.
Thank you. Thanks,
Good to see
Simon.
you. Right, there's still time for you to lend your support to our Donate for Dementia Week. You can text MEMORY to 50300 to donate €4. You can log on to www.donatefordementia.ie or you can ring 01554 1680 and donate whatever you can. We are back with more Ireland AM after this break. Thank you, guys.